If, in Minecraft, you want to store something precious, something you want to make sure no one can get to, how do you do it? What defenses do you build around it? What do you store in there? These are all questions Civ players have been trying to answer since the beginning of the server genre over 10 years ago. Today, we'll be exploring vaults, the newest building to hit the meta in recent years since the launch of Civ 2.0 in 2013. Built to survive a siege from entire coalitions of nations and to store the worst of the criminals of the server. Let's begin. A quick reminder, this is the part where, I'm going to demand you to like, comment, and subscribe. It is somewhat appreciated. Do it. Do it now. The Pearl system. Now, what could be so precious and so valuable? You would literally need to build an entire obsidian box, complete with traps and defended by dozens of players around it. And to make it so secure, it would literally require several dozens of players in full diamond to break in. Although there are, of course, diamonds and other precious materials. The vault's true purpose are to store the player pearls. You see, Civ Classics has a system called pearling, which is essentially a bit of a player-run exile system. Because the server only bans cheaters and doxers, griefing, raiding, and generally harassing players are technically not bannable offenses. Therefore, to reduce the likelihood of such behavior happening, the server has given players a player-run exile system in the form of pearls. So there are two kinds of pearls on this server. The first is called an Exile Pearl, whereupon if a player is slain by another player holding this pearl in their hotbar, they will no longer be able to go within the other player's claimed land. If they try to approach it, they will be pushed out, saying you are approaching the land. And this is generally in order to keep griefers and repeated griefers and other such players from approaching sensitive buildings like farms. There's a second pearl though, and this pearl is far more severe. It is called the End Pearl. Instead of simply being banned from one location, this pearl will send a player into the End Realm with no way out, effectively ending their ability to play on the overworld, where all the other players are. There is a way out, however. In order to maintain the power of the pearls, player essence, a resource gained from playing the game regularly, has to be fed into them, and if a friend of the banned player got a hold of the pearls, they could possibly break them out, thus immediately releasing the pearl's effect on the banned player. Therefore, a politically popular player in the server, even if he was pearled, is not necessarily banned forever. With enough influence, he could assemble an army to his aid. With a pearl stored in the vault, the army is assembled and the loins girded, we now begin the siege. As the offensive army approaches, the vault offers two ways of approaching, from the ground or from the air. Each side offers a unique challenge and many varied traps, being purposefully designed to make approaching as difficult and costly for the offending army as possible. So, the army chooses to approach by ground, per se. They arrive and fall into the deep pit, pickaxes ready to break down the obsidian walls holding them from the vault. Here, the defenders have designed several options to slow down and trap the offensive army. The first are the water traps. So, as you can see, when you are approaching the trenches of the vault, water is placed in a way which, if you stand still, you will be pushed into a hole, which is reinforced. In other words, which is another server mechanic, where you have to break a block multiple times in order to actually break it. Here it is reinforced so you cannot simply break out and hop out. Inside this pit, the offending army will be in an extremely vulnerable position, where the defenders are free to move around, surround you, and crit you with impunity, while you have a very limited range of motion. The second defense are the archery holes. If you manage to avoid the traps, the defenders can still shoot you over this fence gate, or perhaps run in and engage you in melee, while providing a quick escape for themselves. Either way, inside of these rings, of which there are 9 in this particular vault, you are fully at the mercy of the defenders. They choose where and when to engage you, and there is nothing you can do about it as you slog your way through the layers of defense. Because of the various challenges posed by even approaching by ground and the way the defensive players have a near absolute control on where and when they engage the offending army, most sieges do occur by air. However, this poses all sorts of challenges. To ensure no approach is ever unnoticed, a plugin called a snitch is used. A snitch is essentially a block used by a player which can be wired to send a message on Discord, notifying the citizens of this nation of who is going by the radius of this snitch block, and if this person has broken any blocks while inside the radius of the snitch. For an individual, it's an easy way to monitor their personal build and to be able to find any griefers and raiders and report them to the governing body. However, something as crucial as a vault and as large of a build would need a whole field of snitches, providing absolute coverage from the air from every angle, and being impossible to destroy from range. Therefore, most vault builds have an unavoidable network of snitches, also known as the Snitch Curtain. It is a curtain of snitch blocks. Each one is surrounded by obsidian, enclosed from every side up to the build limit. No one can approach from any angle from the sky, even to fly above it, and not immediately trigger the alarm for vault holders, sending a message to the nation's Discord server and prompting the defenders to immediately rally and assemble. While the ground is defended by the rings and the trenches, the sky base offers much less in the form of buildings, as they can be flown around, hurled around, or simply bridged across using blocks. Instead, the defenders must adopt a much more active defense. For this purpose, archer positions are deployed in such a way so a defender can safely fire at archers. However, arrows are not enough to stop a dedicated sky bridge. For this purpose, the defenders will have to sally forth and engage the offenders in player versus player combat. For this purpose, the sky bunker is also equipped with a veritable arsenal of the best gear, as well as a brewing setup for heals and other effects which may be useful in combat. The sky bunker is also notoriously hard to get into due to the heavy placement of bastion blocks, another mechanic of the Civ server, which heavily slow down any sky bridging efforts, because similar to how the reinforcement mechanic makes you break a block multiple times, the bastion block makes you place the block multiple times before you can get in. Therefore, it increases the time needed to bridge over into the vault significantly, depending on how many bastions are placed in the sky bunker's defenses. Should the defenders overcome each level of defense, either successfully skybridging across or by overcoming the rings on the ground, they will meet the final layer of defense, one which can only be overcome through literal days of mining in order to get through. Behold, the spike. The spike is the final defense of the vault, designed so no clever Ender Pearl user can quickly sneak in and mess around with the player pearls. It is a gargantuan obsidian pile, with each block reinforced by diamond, the best reinforcement option in the game, which uses 1 diamond for each block of reinforcement, and as such requires 2,000 breaks in order to break 1 block. And finally, only by breaking through this pyramid of obsidian can the besiegers finally access the pearls. Thank you for staying this long and going through each facet of vault design and defense with Resident Carolina. This is the part where, again, I'm going to demand you to like, comment, and subscribe. It is, as I said, somewhat appreciated. Thank you.